Hopping around the studio to that one is Stephen Carroll. He's sat down at least now. Stephen, United States turning up the temperature in trade disputes, more importantly, with China and Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have anything on the moves on that, Bert, I have to say. But back to more serious things. And in fact, where the trade disputes began, if you're feeling nostalgic for those sort of things, and that's tariffs on steel. This time, the US Department of Commerce says that steel used in construction is benefiting from government subsidies in China and Mexico, and thus should be subject to import duties. Now, these are separate from the steel and aluminium tariffs on Mexico and Canada, which were lifted 2 months ago by the Trump administration. These levies were imposed after a complaint from US steel producers. The tariffs will be collected immediately, but could be reversed later if officials change their mind on the issue.
Now, Greece's new Prime Minister has only just been sworn in. Already he's getting warnings from the country's creditors, though.
Kyriakos Mitsotakis was elected on a promise to cut taxes and boost investment in Greece. Now, even though the country has finished its bailout programme, it's still subject to conditions from its creditors, including keeping a budget surplus at 3.5% of GDP before making debt payments. After a meeting of Eurozone finance ministers on Monday evening, Brussels says that those obligations won't change with the new government.
Commitments are commitments, and if we break those, credibility is the first thing to fall apart, and this brings about a lack of confidence, investment, and at the end of the day, growth. So my advice will be to keep up with the commitments.
Now, Instagram now unveiling its plan to tackle bullying on the social network.
This includes using artificial intelligence to identify hurtful comments and ask users if they're sure before they want to post them. Instagram's chief Adam Mosseri detailed the measures in a blog post. Another tool that they're introducing will be allowing users to place limits on potential bullies, ensuring that their comments wouldn't be seen publicly. The platform, like its parent company Facebook, have been under pressure to deal with harassment online after a number of high-profile cases. Here in France, the health ministry is grappling with a shortage of medicines. 1 in 4 French people say they've been affected by this growing problem. Julia Seeger has the details.
It's a recurring issue in France and a worrying one. Pharmacists are running out of stock of critical medication.
I received about 15 different types of medicine, but I'm missing about 50 others. Cortisone, hormonal treatments, vaccines, epileptic treatments, even eye drops. All kinds of drugs are missing.
1 in 4 people in France say they've already had a difficult time finding a medication they've been prescribed. And the situation continues to worsen. According to the latest projections, more than 1,200 treatments will be affected by shortages over the whole of 2019. That's 25 times more than in 2008. Activists say pharmaceutical companies are to blame for this problem.
We all know how they function. They push for the use of so-called innovative drugs that are never out of stock, but which are very expensive to produce. And they simply stop making drugs that are not profitable.
The French health ministry has vowed to tackle the issue. Among the main propositions drafted by the Senate, slapping financial penalties on pharma companies who don't comply with the requirements. But some experts fear this could be a counterproductive measure.
The French Social Security pulls prices down, which is not to the taste of the manufacturers or wholesale distributors, some of which could decide to stop making the drug altogether because it's not profitable enough.
The government has also said it would push for the creation of a shared traceability platform for a better communication between pharmaceutical companies and pharmacists.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the markets for you next. Investors in Asia joining much of the rest of the world in asking, what will the US Federal Reserve do next? Wall Street had turned into red in trading yesterday as hopes of an interest rate cut faded. That's spilling into trading in much of Asia today. Just the Nikkei in Tokyo seeing small gains there a short time ago.
And finally from Stephen, a new destination for Richard Branson's space tourism company.
Virgin Galactic is shooting for the stars and planning to land on the stock market. It will be the first spaceflight company to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange after a deal with an investment firm. The Wall Street Journal reporting that social capital Hedda Sophia will invest around $800 million for a 49% stake in the company. The paper says the deal should give Virgin Galactic enough capital to get its ships in space and turn a profit. The company has so far gotten 600 people to sign up as space tourists, committing around $80 million to the company. It's expensive business going to space.
It certainly is, isn't it? I think I'll leave it to people like yourself, Stephen. Thank you very much, Stephen Carroll.
Space cadets like me.
He's a space cadet. Well, something cadet anyway. Stephen Carroll for Us 24. Thanks a lot.